Yeah, Overlord. Hey everybody, it's Tripl-L, and now let's talk Overlord episode 3. The Attack of the Lizard Men. I don't know what the title of the episode was, but hey, Overlord episode 3. So I'm pretty sure it came out like a day ago. Whatever, busy life keeps me delayed with anime and watching all that. But hey guys, let's just talk about it. So the way I'm going to do this one, I got a bunch of notes. And so I'm going to go through the notes after I just say what like the overall episode was. And yeah, from there, I guess whatever conversation pops up from any note that we mention, we'll see what happens. The overall thing I would say for this episode is cool to see the lizard people fighting off their thing. You know, they're having their very own dramatic battle story arcs. You know, you have that whole sacrifice sequence where the allies are falling and it's up to the one main guy to go deal with it. It's really cool to actually see the protagonist story arc, or like the stereotypical protagonist story arc, kind of playing out with the lizard people. And then you have the overarching plot that Ainz and the rest of his people are working on while the lizard people are having their heroic plot. It's a cool thing. It's a novelty to it, and it just continues with like the idea of the lizard people's arc in general. Anyway, let's just go into the notes. First off, cold damage. That's such a game way of saying it. That popped up when the two lizard folk were fighting together. Our guys, Aryusu, and then Dragon Tusk. I don't remember his name, so forgive me for that. But it was just funny the way that they talk about these game-like terms like cold damage. Mind you, like that's the most direct way of describing what just happened to the guy, because he was getting that passive cold damage from the weapon every time it attacked him. It's kind of funny to hear about it. And considering Overlord's ideas, we know that actually, I don't know if that's a spoiler yet. Whatever, never mind. There is like a little bit of world building when it comes into that, but I don't know if we covered that already. I can't remember last season. So we'll move on from there, but whatever. I find it funny, but there's logic to why they're saying it. It was just something else. Next note. It's cool to see everyone so merry. That was specifically referring to, it was cool when we saw our three-man band. Zaryusu, his girl, and his best friend apparently now, just riding on the Hydra back to the place. I really liked their dynamic. It was one of the highlights for me when it came to this portion of the novel, and so seeing it, I'm pretty happy. But then I noticed that it didn't feel as prominent as it was when I was reading the manga, for instance. And then I went back and I checked, and we covered chapters 18, 19, and 20 of the manga in this one episode. I was not expecting that, and so I'm pretty sure some things got left behind, and the things that might have been left behind just to some little degree might have been the moments between the characters. That said, I don't really think it takes away from the episode. What I see in that case is just we're going to be speeding through to get to the Men in the Kingdom arc, which I'm very excited about, but it came at the cost of the humanizing elements of the lizard folk. That said, they still have a lot of humanizing elements. They still do it quite often. Like in this episode, we had the sequence where Crush and Zaryusu were playing with their tails, playing tailsies. That was adorable. And just the overall banter between those three, you know, with the Dragon Tusk leader talking about how he's going to treat Zaryusu's woman right, and just like the little banter that she's not his woman, and like they're taking it all very seriously, but it was just kind of cool to see it unfold regardless. I'm moving on, and these section of the notes are talking about Ainz. So first off, I love the look of the Woodland Mansion. Pretty cool stuff. It looks pretty regal. Awesome thing. You know, great work ethic on the Overlord side. And then we go on and we see a quick dialogue with Ainz that he isn't happy about the way things are unfolding with Cocytus. So these sequences are important because they give us that impression. There's a bit more behind the orders that Ainz is going for, and this is just kind of something that's kind of cool in general with the bits that are going to be adapted this season. I do think there's a heavy focus on exploring the individuality of the NPCs. I know that's what Ainz wants to do in this scenario, as I'm like, when I first saw this, he was testing Cocytus to see what Cocytus can actually do, and we do get that kind of told to us later on when Cocytus is talking to Demiurge and just asking for advice. Very interesting stuff, but at this point it's just there to like add up to the suspense and I guess just let us know there's more to this battle than meets the eye. Moving on, and these sets of notes cover the whole CG battle. So it was interesting going full CG, and this level of CG is par for the course for light novel adaptations. Like if we look over to Death March had worse CG technically, but the quality of the animation for the CG is it's very it's obvious to say, like when you see it, that's like, oh yeah, that's like budget CG. That said, when you look at it, like it's clear it has its purpose. It has its purpose because that's the best way to make a cost-effective, hectic battle with a lot of players there. You know, they only have to grab one model, make the model, copy and paste it across multiple points. You have the animation made once. You apply the animation to all the CG models, and then you have the illusion of a hectic battle for minimum cost. And we know how bad the workload is for animation studios. We know how bad animators are treated with workload. So, you know, it's just every time I see CG, I'm reminded of those aspects. But all things considered, it was a good enough CG. It got the point across. It's hectic. And if you notice, like during the CG, whenever there was going to be a unique scene or a close-up, they did switch back to, I don't know how to call it. It's not hand-drawn because I'm pretty sure it's computer-aided nowadays. But you know, like more detailed art. It switched from computer-generated models back to detailed art. So props where it belongs. The other thing I really wanted to say for that point is it was neat to see the zombie animals. Those things had like a different presence altogether, and it's just like seeing the warthog come out and the bear, I think, or something like that. It was just neat, very neat. Really nice visual splash on the battlefield. That said, the lizard men and the undead, it was a pretty cool sequence overall. And continuing on with notes about that battle, when Iguva, yeah, you know, the Elder Lich enters and the lizards get roasted, that was a pretty epic scene. It was pretty cool. Iguva became the villain, or the climactic villain of Zaryusu's, pretty much his hero arc. So it was just cool to see that whole procession. We see the guys working together to go in. And a special note, you know, the Dragon Tusk leader, he has his things, but then Crush going in there with support magic, it's pretty cool. Like when Zaryus is about to fall and he's like, I can't do it anymore, and she comes in with the heal to give him that one last little gust of energy to go in and take down the Elder Lich. It's the stuff of like a happy ending, right? I just really I liked it. It's like, you know, they went through just the sequence of being a hero in such a short amount of time, and it's just like something that puts a smile on my face. I really enjoyed it, and I feel really bad for them knowing what's coming ahead of them. That said, it was cool. It was a cool sequence, and the other thing that I really enjoyed about those three characters is that they're very competent. That's something that can't really be taken away from those characters. They're exceedingly competent, and it's cool to see that kind of thing happen. If these were annoying characters, I don't think they would make as much of an impression. But because they're competent, it's just worthwhile to see them do things. Other note I had there to end off the whole battle sequence part is that it's funny that undead bleed. I noticed that Iguva bleeds. I don't know if that's a thing. I just thought it was funny. Anywho, let's see, any other little notes here? Oh, there was one last note about Imanga eating in her neck. So this is just a note about foreshadowings. In this episode, we saw a little sequence where she's eating right in her neck because we see that there's something chowing down on a little snack that she has. That's just interesting in that that's going to be a plot point later on. So this is more of a spot where you could say this is just really good foreshadowing on the studio's part, really good foreshadowing on the author's part, just setting up these little elements that readers or viewers can key in on and then have it rewarded later. It's just cool to see them, or how they were set up initially, and to see where exactly they paid off, even though it's such a small element. Speaking of Imanga, she also had another small element when it was Cocytus and Demiurge talking. We saw a little scroll being burnt. Now that little scroll, clearly we can assume, got involved in why Demiurge cut that call. That said, it's just these little details are just fun to pick up on, and they make for a really rewarding watch. Anyway, let's see. No, that's pretty much the majority of my notes here. The Lizardmen have won the day, and yeah, we're going through with Overlord. I'm pretty happy, pretty excited. The only thing I'm kind of sad about is that I don't have the same sense of camaraderie between the 3 lizard folk or lizardmen as I did when I was reading the manga initially, and I'm not sure if that's just because my memories are a bit jumbled up or because parts were skipped out, but considering that this covered 3 chapters of manga material, I'm pretty sure something got left behind. Maybe I'll read the manga later to just refresh it in my mind, but I don't know. Anyway, guys, let me know what you thought of the episode. Overall, I think the main things that you should take away from the episode are that this is a lizard folks battle. It was cool to see them all getting together, firing off the swamp elementals, fighting off the undead, and them winning the day. And then we have that extra layer of Heinz's plot going on in there. So towards the tail end of this, we can expect that plot to come into the forefront. But for now, I think it's a good time to just celebrate the lizard folks' victory. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Let's leave it there. Till next time, I hope you have a great day.